Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Okay.
There you go. We still have a few people joining the room. Give us just another moment.
Take your time. And since we are such a lovely
bunch of coconuts
group of friends, officially in the newly renamed Live in Love Wednesdays.
Really?
It'll take a few moments for the graphics and some of the retooling of identities and names that go along with websites and messagings to catch up. But love that little retooling that we've come up with. I do want to ask each of you, if you don't have a little piece of paper and a pen nearby or something to write with, we're going to explore just very briefly something. We'll ask you to just jot a few thoughts and feelings down, or maybe they're not thoughts and feelings, but you will be writing just a little bit. So while everybody's coming into the room, just grab something to write with if you don't have it. And I will say that as we talked about the theme of the month being the nature of happiness, it was clear for us that this was both going to be, I think, exciting and also a little bit of an emotional trigger. And so just know, again, we're just in sort of the unearthing of losing normal. I mean, I think it's a very good way to look at it. Losing normal may be an important aspect of our flexibility in stepping forward in the way that we'd like to in the world, especially as things begin to open up and whatnot. So the idea of starting with the theme of the month, yes, the nature of happiness.
Right.
We're delving into states and feelings. States and feelings. So
really, energy, light, information is the continuous connection sensation. It's like, I love this, Jillian came up with this, like getting a phone call from your being, and the call says, hey, I'm here. I'm always here. I'm the source of your happiness. I am happiness. And notice whatever you are experiencing, no matter what we experience in our lives, you are always present. I like to say your presence. You're always present in the midst of your experience.
I think we want to slow that down just a little bit. So I want you to imagine that you're getting a phone call from your being, and you pick up the phone, and it's your being. It is awareness, not any awareness. It is the awareness that is you. I am here. I am always here. I am the source of your happiness. I am happiness. And to just for a moment, close your eyes, keep your eyes open, but we want you to notice what you're experiencing right now. Just notice. Maybe it's your environment, maybe it's something going on behind you in the home or outside. Just notice whatever you're experiencing right now. Maybe you're a little anxious, maybe you're a little bored, maybe you're a little hungry. Just notice whatever you're experiencing. I'm warm. I'm a little chilly. And then notice the presence. Say to yourself, I am. And just notice present in the midst of your experience. Notice it. Notice that it's the only continuous part of your experience. Maybe a car just drove by outside. That's come and gone. Maybe your breathing got a little racy, but you're still present and a continuous part of whatever the activity around you, in you is. And just allow your experience to be exactly as it is without any impulse to change it in any particular way. And again, allow I am to be present in your awareness, and notice it is continuous amidst all the moving activity, including your thoughts. So there you are. So your pen and paper or iPhone or whatever, we want to just take 30 seconds and we want you to write down everything that makes you happy. Just write down everything that makes you happy. 30 seconds. If it's been a particularly difficult time, you can write down everything that doesn't make you unhappy. It's okay. It really makes no difference. Everything that makes you happy, everything that doesn't make you unhappy, whatever way. Okay.
And when you're ready, choose maybe 3 of them from your list.
Just write on a separate column, 3, or circle them, whatever's easiest for you. Just pick 3 from your list. If you have 3, maybe there's less than that, then pick 2. If there's only 1, well, that will be the only one. But just circle or check 3 from your list and put them in the order of what makes you most happy or least unhappy at the top, to what is less than most happy and less than happy. So you put them most happy at the top. Just number them 1, 2, and 3.
Now, we notice, Louise, that your hand is raised. Is this something that's important for us as we continue into this? If it is, please unmute yourself and ask.
Okay. Okay. You can put this all aside. We're going to come back to it later, but just let it kind of leave your attention. The exercise is over for now. Okay.
For now.
For this moment.
So you might notice that when we go deeply into the heart of any matter, what really do we find there? Ourself. The fact of being aware isn't something that we become as a result of our investigation. We are awareness. Investigation allows us to discover the what is that we may have overlooked.
So to think of that in all the ways that often we are a part of any activity is that we believe that we become aware of something so that we become it, right? This is often how we approach things. We become aware of the beautiful weather outside so that we become happy about the weather. We become aware of the neighbor next door who's no longer playing, rave music at 3 a.m. So we become less frustrated. We become aware of how beautiful this new shampoo we just found in our, search on Esty, and we become aware of how beautiful it smells after we wash our hair. Whatever it is, this is how our understanding of awareness is often tuned or aligned. So we are saying to you in a new way, the fact of being aware of your true nature isn't something you become as a result of investigating your true nature, but it is our first opportunity to investigate the continuous nature of awareness. So it doesn't require effort, practice, or discipline. It's just that most of the time we overlook ourselves for the benefit of being entangled in all of our experiences. Now, I want you to just sit with that idea. How often does myself become the point of attention in experiences, and I've overlooked presence? Myself is the limitation, in a way, of presence. I am.
The recognition of being aware by itself does not bring us sustainable happiness and peace. We really want to know that nature of our awareness, the nature of our awareness, because we're the medium. We are the space, and once again, I'll say figuratively speaking, in which all awareness arises.
And when we say we are the medium or the space, we're now speaking about your finite body-mind. You're the medium and the space in which all awareness arises. Understand and feel that you are the entirety of that in which all experience arises. You are aware openness or aware emptiness. That's all you are. That's all we are.
One and the same. The presence, awareness, this is happiness. So there's no need to, it has no need to seek itself. Let's put it that way. Awareness is a yes to everything because it knows nothing of resistance. Nor is pure awareness or happiness dependent on what does or does not take place.
What is a portal? It's a doorway to transformation. It's an expansion of our online essentials, our level 1, an 8+ hour e-learning course.
The portal helps us discover our roadblocks that may be stopping us from living our fullest potential.
How does the portal help bring about these benefits? Easy to follow short segments with interactive exercises, information acquired not only through the mind, but through interaction with the frequencies themselves. It includes the 8 hours of the online essentials course.
2 key chapters, one on love and one on healing, from the new series, The Inner Compass. It brings the possibility for instant transformation, healing, and the evolution of each and every one of us.
What does or does not take place in experience?
And that could be any experience. Let's talk about finding the love of your life, and it is your wedding day.
Oh, that could be a little late.
This is the moment that your child comes into the world. This is the moment that you've gotten your doctorate degree. This is the first time that you've ever gone horseback riding. These states or feelings of happiness are quite different than awareness. Because, as Eric said, pure awareness has no dependency on what or doesn't take place in experience. And I want you to think of it this way. I'm so in love with this one William Blake quote, because it if you sit in it, it begins to realign the whole understanding of state, a state becoming the state of anything or the feeling of anything. And William Blake says, he who blinds himself to a joy does the winged life destroy. He who blinds himself to a joy.
Thanks.
He who binds himself to a joy does the winged life destroy. What is a joy? So we're going to play in this. I'm seeing Cece move around. Cece is a joy a lot. Cece has been one of the people in the world that I know who has mastered the succession of the joy, a joy, many joys. So this is there is a mastery to this. And we're going to talk about this first from the most popular state that seems to be out there in today's culture, which is...
No, it is not Louisiana.
It is gratitude. Gratitude. So gratitude is a state. And the formulas that you explore in many areas of self-improvement, science, psychology, neuroscience, neuroplasticity, the exercises are often to bring the brain into the recognition that the feeling of gratitude can be tricked into the recognition of, or the state of gratitude or feeling love. And the feeling of gratitude will live in myself. It will, and there's tremendous science. And one of the great advances of neuroplasticity, meaning neuroplasticity is flexibility of the brain to create a succession of new neurons, memories, understandings, states of experience. So magical for many,
Right.
many applications. Many applications, yes.
But the thing is that you can't hold on to any state as the experience of I am or myself. You can't hold on to a state as the experience of myself. Feelings and states become the ever consuming, powerful pitch that is often exclusively recognized and consumed for the entirety of our lifetimes. They're presented through metaphors. Often things are presented through metaphors. Sometimes, however, this model becomes a bit of what I'd like to call a hamster wheel. No matter how blissful, even your fullest attention to gratitude amidst your activities is a limitation. So, a hamster wheel in itself can feel like bliss, and your fullest attention on gratitude, although it may be blissful, it is still, if you allow yourself to see this, a limitation. All states are limited by the finite activity, both that they rise as and collapse into. This is really a formula for misery.
That's a trigger.
It's a trigger.
We are not suggesting that gratitude leads to misery.
No,
No.
we're not. By
And
any
your
stretch.
brain is going to be certain to remind you that the state of gratitude, as it is portrayed, is leading you out of misery, away from misery, into gratitude, and all of the chemistry and shared love that comes with it. And this is so, in a way.
In a way.
It's so in a way. But it comes with a complexity. And I'm going to use the word here, a risk. A risk that in my being gives me a little pause moment to say, what is it I am committing to if this is the pathway that I am initiating around all experience? Well, what is this pathway? And so we would like to share with you a little bit of the history of how metaphors to create states and feelings have served. They've served the evolution of I want to say humankind, people kind. In some ways, they've served really the unfolding of what we'll call, I don't want to say the universe, but I'm going to say planet Earth, if there is such a place. But in our experience, there is such a place. So we're going to look at that. So
what's a metaphor, really?
go ahead.
What's a metaphor, really? Sorry, you have to hear it with the inflection. Creating states and feelings with the use of language, metaphors, reduces us to, what do we say, achievement-driven entities, as if our highest purpose is to be effective instruments.
And we've used this. So we looked at the arena of technology because it's such an important one right now. It's advancing so many aspects of your state of existence, our state of existence. So the dominant technology mind metaphor of this age is sort of the mind is the computer. And we're warned in this wonderful way of cognitive overload and advised in lots of languagings to switch off more often, to recharge your batteries, okay, to recharge and switch off. But we're not machines. We are social organisms. at best. And we are embedded and embodied and encultured in developing a constant feedback with our surroundings. That's part of the nature of what we'll call the mind body and the chemistry and the biology. So if we become too entangled in what we'll call computer mind metaphors, we'll trust and we'll believe that we can be repaired in a way by external, I'm going to use the word techno-magical interventions, meaning we will come into a belief that rather than accepting that all our inner work takes investigation, inquiry, releasing of resistance, we'll believe that another contraption, and in many ways we know, we've seen all the mats that you can put down that balance the heart coherence so that you will be in a state of optimal love. And it isn't that this isn't really useful and relevant. Right. We know that heart coherence is exceedingly scientifically
it's validated.
Yes.
It's shown. Listen, it's been shown from the even in the still in the 1900s when we were doing some of the research at the University of Arizona.
1900s.
1900.
Yes, we're in the 1900s.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 1900s. But we were doing some of even the earliest research at the University of Arizona. It showed in the Reconnective Healing Experience the coherence frequencies where heart waves were showing up in brain readouts at the time. There's a lot of coherence that is there, but do we want to get lost or stuck or stopped in a certain place?
It becomes about states. We're going to buzz through this a little bit more quickly. Popular mind metaphors have also drawn us into worlds of finance and business. Many self-help text references are social capital emotional accounts. So self-improvement is often presented as a long-term sustainable investment in ourselves that will eventually pay off. Now, how often have you heard this? Yielding higher profits.
Right.
So you're infused with the state that your self-improvement will pay off and yield higher profits.
And it does for a lot of people who write books on this.
Yes, Steve Covey's
Right.
7 Habits of Highly Effective People, an American businessman. And listen, this motivational speaker of Stephen encourages us to optimize our intra and intrapersonal effectiveness by using better self-management technologies. And this is true.
He sees the self as, let's say, our greatest asset, and self-care as the single most powerful investment we can ever make in life. And again, with metaphors, perspective is important. Time in which you read it is important. Where you were at backgrounds are important. And even today, when we look at books by Dr. Seuss and others, they were written and they were perfectly appropriate. Many of us grew up with them at times, but in looking at them from today's perspectives, we see things that may be off or inappropriate in a number of ways. And things are being switched around, maybe for the better sometimes, and maybe not for sometimes. So these metaphors come from certain times, and they appeal to people depending on where our perspectives are.
Yes. We just have to quickly say hello to our YouTubers, and we so appreciate you spending these exploratory few minutes with us. Come join us, click the link below, and come on and be a part of the entirety of this group of friends and the conversations we have ongoing. And we'd
Maybe
love
you
to
can
have
even
you be a
continue
part
in
of
with
it.
this conversation if you click on, so we'll see.
Click on the link. Bye. Thank you. So let's just, we want to look at these metaphors in a way that help us to recognize that they reduce us to sort of achievement-driven, advantage-seeking entities. And they kind of condemn self-optimizing as its highest purpose to be an effective instrument. You're most effective as someone who is achievement-driven and advantage-seeking in a way. So
and this doesn't mean that what they're teaching has been ineffective. It's been highly effective. However, where is the trade-off on sort of a mechanical machinery position as far as internal growth and evolution as being in spirit?
So look at it as this way: self-optimization contrasts starkly with the much older ideas of self-cultivation. And this is what is worth kind of, what do I mean by that? The ancient ideas of self-cultivation were explored, as you know, because many of you have studied and looked at them. Confucius, Buddha, Aristotle, even the Stoics, you know, they evoked sort of a less dramatic mode of developing our good qualities. Its emphasis was on something ethical, character development, over skills enhancement, right? Again, these are the things that you are ultimately keeping up with to tune your states and feelings to in order for you to feel happiness or productiveness or success. So
these great teachers would encourage us. They would encourage us to nurture our virtues patiently, sort of like, well, I like the way they do it along concepts of climate and soil and flourishing. And, you know, occasionally we might have to prune back a few things and plant a few new seeds, but it's a growth of who we are from the inside.
And then we're kind of to this moment where these self-help metaphors reach particularly deep into our daily lives. They encourage us to feel the fear and do it anyway, to choose the roads left traveled, to win friends and influence people, to heal our inner child and be codependent no more.
And a lot of these sound familiar to you because you know them. They're famous book titles and they're famous, you know, buzz lines. Again, buzz lines work to a point. The other thing that happens with buzz lines is we get used to them, and we don't always, once we hear the line, we get so familiar with them, we don't always allow ourselves to absorb, to assimilate the actual communication.
But they're revealing the underlying conception of our selfhood. They are speaking to and defining the self. But they aren't. They are defining myself, the separate self, the experience that we express from awareness, or I should say, in the limitation of the body-mind. So it's important to look at the other sort of metaphors in modern self-help, which include this idea of life is a journey. Life is a work of art, a battle, a jungle, a game, a competition. And many self-help writers rely on the images of, we'll say, a social ascent, such as rising to the top, climbing the ladder or the mountain, getting over the wall.
Thank goodness life isn't a Rubik's Cube. I'll never get through it.
So you begin to imagine, or begin to imagine myself as combatants and contestants and players and travelers and explorers and entrepreneurs and salespeople and managers. So that the choice of these metaphors we use to talk about our inner life reveals how we see ourselves and our purpose, and whether we're motivated by material, spiritual, experiential rewards. Overall, they disclose whether we think about ourselves as part of sort of a wide social community with shared aims and goals and obligations, or the sort of lone fighters in a fight-flight environment. But either way, it's about a personal advantage in a way.
And all of this is really limitation. All of this is a limitation. It might be interspersed or even by the majority of, well, as being amazing in its expression, and yet it will always be limited to the commitment of maintaining these innumerable boxes. So if we were to explore this a little bit without the attachment of the psyche, every time happiness becomes a state, every time happiness becomes a state, the happiness that you are collapses its infinite nature and pure awareness, and becomes simply a limited experience.
And limitation or a limited experience is nothing other than it is the observation of the infinite obscuring itself so that a finite experience becomes perceptible, becomes seeable. And often we'll call those states, feelings, emotions, memories, conditions. But a state of happiness held hostage by people, places, or things. Happiness is prior to all people, places, and things. So don't be confused that any results, and this is for all of you new to this community conversation, you are associate instructors with us, even though that title is no longer, you have been playing in this conversation a long time. Do not be confused that any result that is unleashed through your reconnective healing experience is where your attention should sacrifice itself.
Your healings don't live in what you receive from the reconnective healing experience. Your healing is the awareness of your being. Hear that again. Your healing is the awareness of your being. The reconnective healing experience disappears everything that isn't you and isn't awareness, the awareness of your being. And this knowing, this
AKA, also known as.
Happiness is a continuous experience of your being. And it's simply, to reduce to a two-letter word, is. It simply is. So how do you know the difference between a state of happiness, and the presence of awareness? Well, playing in the frequencies brings the body-mind to a state of connection. The body-mind needs to recognize itself, well, for what it is. It is a limitation. It is the expression or the experience of all people, places, things, animals, whatever you want to say, the world. It's all a limitation for the finite to see itself.
For the infinite to see.
For the infinite, I'm sorry. I mix up those two words all the time because I don't think. It's all a limitation for the infinite to see itself in the world. And that is what experience is. The way our true nature expresses consciousness.
Okay, so I'm going to tilt quickly to
The left? Right.
religion.
Oh, okay.
So biblical texts, and that may be the left or the right,
Mm.
define heaven and earth. How many of you, just raise your hand, religion, atheist or not, have some familiarity with your inquiry into heaven and earth? Raise your hand. Have you ever had an inquiry about heaven and earth? Julie Stone, if you do not raise your hand, she hasn't. I'm so excited. This is so amazing. Good. And I'm intentionally asking this question because we're knowing each other and we want to know this. So heaven and earth.
And Umid, I did see you raise your hand up in the screen, but
Yeah.
there's an actual hand raising button. And if you could click that, then you'll be in sequence to be called on.
But let's just play in here because this is something that for a great, vast number of finite body minds, this thinking and belief is there. Even in science, it's there. There is a sense of heaven and earth. So earth is a limitation of heaven. A person is the limitation of being. The body mind is a limitation of the finite mind or the mind of God. Thinking and feeling is the limitation of direct awareness. And then there is the ego or the separate self at the bottom. So we want you to imagine if you have ever seen those Russian nesting dolls, one more limited in size and scope, demeanor and material. It doesn't matter whether you're looking at it ascending or descending, but they fit inside one another.
So if you haven't seen them, they look identical, and you just open one and there's the next and then the next, tiny, tiny, tinier.
So again, I want to just give you ascending or descending, it doesn't matter. Earth may be a limitation of heaven. A person is a limitation of being. A body mind is a limitation of the finite mind or the mind of God. Thinking and feeling is the limitation of direct awareness. And ego is the obscuration. Ego is the obscuration from the body mind.
So, even with the nesting dolls, it doesn't matter what you're looking at. Why would we perceive anything, body, mind, as wholeness? Do you want to place your attention on all of your experiences unilaterally? Energy, light, and information is a murmur. It's a modulation. It's a sensation that says, I am here, not there, but here. And when your attention goes to all the other layers, that's the time to really allow it to. Sometimes we have a tendency to pull it back. It really doesn't matter unless you're getting lost in the limitation of all of that, or the limitation of your healing result. We put it into a box, we say, this is it, the healing, and I'm done, and there it is, and give me a ribbon, I'm going to tie this sucker up, that sucker with an S.
And for those of you that have family or guests, or you're actively facilitating reconnective healing experiences, and when they inquire, this is a considerable, valuable thing to impart. When they ask, that energy, light, and information has a murmur, a modulation, a sensation that says, I am here, not there, but here. So when attention is pulled to, as Eric said, the limitation of a healing result, it is a beautiful opportunity to notice the continuous presence against all experience that has no understanding of that healing result. The healing result has come as an experience, as an activity, and it may make you feel happiness. It may be the one moment of your entire life that you would call happiness, the healing result. And we would ask you there to check and see if it's there, your gratitude, your joy, your enlightenment. That is that continuous presence. Or is it a state and a feeling that will always be wandering and searching within its state of inherent limitation? So we would say, why not instead just simply recognize, I am here.
And we know that some of you are here. So Cecilia, I know we had 3 hands. Would you like to select?
Yes, we have Linda Hunt. I'd like to invite you to unmute. Linda?
I'm unmuted, but guys, you just asked if I explored heaven and earth. And yes, I have. And I've explored it from the Christian point of view, which is really different from what I know as the conscious being that we are. And I've had personal experiences that have really shown the vast difference it is in that. So yes, I've explored them, and Reconnective is probably the closest I've ever come to a dialogue that can discuss and explain what I personally have experienced and know. So I really appreciate you guys for that. But it is totally completely different from what I ever learned in church.
And not to mention that there are a lot of churches.
I want to say so transparently by this, that our culture is an experience. And because you have discoveries of your reality through the Reconnective healing experience, it doesn't mean that, oh, now I must abandon my culture. Church is a culture. Heaven and earth, as seen through and understood through the lens of cultural conditioning, when understood through the lens of cultural conditioning, beauty. I love church.
I understand its reasoning and its direction, because it's so hard to explain the other in a simple form that people will trust and understand.
Right, but we don't really need to explain the unnameable.
Because we can't.
and in a way, we're going to bring this to the life leaders. We're going to leave you with 2 things. We'd like you to look back at what you wrote down and look to see if anything you wrote down was really the object of your happiness. And if so, would you change any of them? And then maybe the greatest why that we want to leave you with at the beginning of this month exploring happiness is, why not instead recognize that I am here? And that is the one continuous, the most knowable and reliable experience that you have.
I also want to share that when I see containers, boxes, I don't discard them because they are a limitation. I look at what is within to find the infinite, because everything, no matter how limited,
It's made of that stuff.
is made of the infinite. And so, Jillian and I will, go to a church or a synagogue or something. At times we'll listen to what's being taught or shared, sometimes more now online. I grew up with an identity that I was lightly Jewish, meaning not superly religious, but I was definitely Jewish. In my discovery with time, in my discovery through I'm going to say, I guess, reconnective healing experience, I found that I loosened the constraints of that to recognize that that is a wonderful aspect of my spiritual nature. But my spirituality to me just cannot be contained in anyone. And believe me, we've delved and looked, and I find aspects of the infinite in everything, because it's not that the infinite is in, but that everything is comprised of. And yet I can't find, yet the answer cannot be contained. Let's put it that way. There are aspects of the infinite in contained areas, but the infinite actually can't be contained, or it would not be infinite. So I want you to know that was a change for me. That was a change for me, but it didn't come from having to think about it or plan it or intend it. I became in recognition of this aspect of the awareness that I am. And so that's all I can share.
Beautiful. So the fact that you are all here, both myself and I am, we're going to pass you to.
Jillian, we have one more hand.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Sorry. Umit, would you please unmute?
Well, I had some experiences, very unusually experienced. Like one day I woke up with formless thing there, and I just didn't know what that is. And I said, "You are God." Then the red heart just light flashed to me, and I was like, yes, I didn't want to think if that was God, but I experienced that, and I enjoyed that experience. And after that, I started seeing hearts all over, and the things that whenever I want something, it happened. I created things. And the Reconnective with the meeting you was also like that. And I mean, one day I said to myself, I'm gonna unlearn everything. I just want to be myself. Then I saw you on YouTube, and then after I am having, I experienced Reconnective energies, I mean, light and information with Dr. Eric. I started seeing things more clearly, smelling more, and this is, I think, experiencing heaven in earth.
Yes.
This is great. I mean, couple days ago in the morning on the walking, I normally purple was my favorite color, and then I looked at that purple flower and I said myself, no, I don't have any favorite anymore. All the colors I love. And this experiencing all that is so beautiful in this lifetime. And experiencing heaven in earth is the most gift for you, I think.
It is
and
your
I'm
reality.
So
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, that is your reality, happiness. And it's being shown through an obscuration of infinite, because infinite can't see itself unless it is obscured through the experience that we'll call Umit. So you are right. You are God, and that is God. And that knowing can never be diminished or limited by any experience, even your favorite color, purple, a beautiful experience. could no longer be contained in the color purple.
Yeah.
Even
exactly.
that box was a limitation. So again, we don't think of a limitation as something ugly or negative. It is just, again, it's an obscuration that in the reconnective healing experience dissolves.
Yeah.
Right. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Julie, we will be hearing from you at the Q&A because I wrote it down. So I'll be bringing that question to you just in terms of reference to heaven and earth ever. And that's good. I want you to share that.
Okay. All right. Well, it's time. Yes. Okay. We are going to invite the life leaders. We have Barbara Solomon. We have Harry. There we go. And we have Lula Rivera. Lula. Here we go. Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Guess I'd better unmute. Hi, everybody. Talk about limitations. I am here. What do you guys think? What did you pick up on today?
Well, I thought it was really what jumped out for me was a little bit of the self-help, like the self-help part, and that's just like from my experience, because I was like a really addictive personality, and then like at some point, then you want to change that, so you make an effort, then you do the things you have to do, then you feel better. But then because now you feel better, that is a state, and you want to claim the state of feeling better. So, but the whole time it doesn't matter, it's as long as it's about you, it doesn't work. And I found that with the reconnective healing, for example, like with smoking, I smoked for 15 years. I could never quit. But then through playing with the frequencies or recognizing what you are, like the healing becomes a side effect for the finite part. So yeah, I thought that was really, really cool. And then you just for me, it was really strange because I simply forgot that I smoked it was super weird. So that really jumped out for me.
Yeah, that coming back to balance. That's one thing I like about the reconnective healing experience also, is it helps us to remember. And with Solomon and the live and learns and all the different explorations we've been having, it really has helped me expand my understanding of the difference between the finite and the infinite, and be able to embrace that infinite so much more, even without totally understanding it. It's okay. I love that.
I think that's the good part, not understanding.
Yeah.
For me, that's the best part. How about you, Lula?
Well, I am here and I'm happy about being here. My heart's racing. Give me just a second. I think that I am learning to be more open, and I'm learning. I'm so used to being in an experience of happiness, right? Like my conditioning, for instance, is I'm learning and seeing that I'm not living that conditioning anymore. I'm letting that go. And that's where I went to today, listening and being present with all the conversation. I used to be so caught up in the conditionings. And it's so nice that when I had my personal reconnection, I'm letting go of this, and I can see that. And that's a big deal. And it is really emotional. I can also see that I'm working towards letting go of a lot more conditioning. Yeah. I love you guys.
And that's how we can do, I think, is just kind of think about the conditioning and go with it, and be aware.
Yeah.
Embrace that awareness, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful when it can all be there. like then the state doesn't really matter, because it can be really bad. You can feel really that can be like, you can be really sad or really down or troubled, or you can be super happy and feeling free and whatever. But that changes anyway, and just by seeing that is like really free, it becomes less less serious. It's more like more like a joke. And it also, like, for me personally, I get to see more of the part or the thing or whatever it is that tries to make it serious, that wants to put a lot of attention on itself, right?
Yeah.
So
Conditioning. Yeah.
yeah.
At the very beginning, when Jillian asked us to feel what we were feeling and notice, and then just say, I am here. I noticed how afterwards I felt so much more grounded and yet also lighter at the same time, which doesn't, but I like being in that state. And it's, again, even though it's finite, it just feels, it makes me remember that infinite piece of me, feel more connected to it or something.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful that we can experience this life the way we do. It really has transformed me to know that we're all one. It's so cool.
Can I add one thing to what Barbara just said, which is so, it's such a nugget. Happiness and peace is not a state. It's not a state. When you say, I am, and the content of any experience may be all around you and inside you, but your attention is the pure awareness that you are presence. I am. What is there is the emptiness and the fullness that is awareness itself. This is very much often, again, when, as Harry put so beautifully too, a healing result is a side effect for the finite body mind. It's the healing result is not perceived as even something new, as Harry said, and many people purport. He doesn't even remember smoking. So it isn't about creating a new state of gratitude for not being a smoker, or the suggestion or the conditioning or the containing in a box that you will hold and reinforce. This can't be found in the reconnective healing experience. And that does not make those techniques not powerful. They're powerful for the body mind. And then there is something simpler.
And I also, as I listen as we speak, I think about that some of expressing this has a struggle against the unconscious that we've allowed ourselves to become. Strange example, but those little sucker candies? If you had a sore throat, you'd put one in your mouth and it would help soothe your throat, and you're supposed to suck on it. Everyone said, don't chew on it. I'd always chew on it. So I would try to not chew on it, to suck. I could keep it in there for 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 7 seconds is a long time. But the very moment that my mind wandered from don't bite on it, and I caught myself, it was too late. And it's easy sometimes to fall back on our subconscious word choice, which tends to reinforce subconscious thoughts, to say a state of happiness, a state of being. And there are many words, and I trip over these all the time. I catch myself saying them, and sometimes I don't catch myself saying them. And there's a satisfaction in saying I'm just like biting into that cherry sucker. I loved it, even though I decided not to, and I couldn't hold them in my mouth any longer with the yellow, the green ones, even though I didn't like them as much as the red or the purple, but that's a whole other story. They should just sell red and purple, but we'll get to that another time. And so really what this holds me to is a standard of being a little more conscious in my word choice, which ultimately means I'm more cognizantly conscious of me. And do I trip up sometimes and think, okay, I am awareness, so I can't just be aware, but I can be aware of this. And I go off and explore. And those discoveries in their willingness to explore are part of my healing.
So notice that a bad moment, a uncomfortable state, a desperate feeling, anxiety. There's so many states and feelings that the recognition of their limitation, just the recognition of their limitation, not the thought or the belief, but the limitation of I am, make them makes our ability to invite them in to lie next to us very appropriate. There's nowhere to send a negative thought. If you are aware of your true nature, if you recognize the container that thought sits in. So just explore and experiment with this. We have a whole month to play around, but sort of at the beginning here, these states and feelings start to become less of an infatuation, maybe would be the best way to say it. I guess for the thrill seeker, at first that might become sterile in a way. Allow the inquiry to be there, because what you may find is that the appreciation of the limitation becomes so agreeable. And while it lies in the presence of the stuff it's made out of, it just naturally, as the nature of awareness, falls back into it. I mean, and there is a flow, there is a happiness not found in a state, feeling not nameable or knowable that appears. And we're going to continue to explore that. And we thank Harry and Lula.
Barbara and Lula.
Barbara is just touched me so deeply today anyway. I am, yeah. And Cecilia and all of you.
I am touched.
Anyone have anything they want to share before we say goodbye? Just timing wise? We can see all your faces. It's been beautiful to watch you. Daniela, I'm watching just the modulation and the smile and the coming back and moving along. Hi, Jonathan.
Muriel has her hand up. Muriel, would you like to
Yes,
share?
can I just say something? I just want to say this. Hello, everyone. In fact, when I heard Dr. Eric said that he was Jewish, I had this sense of bliss within me and happiness. Just, oh my God, I felt so good. And I remembered something, and I've got to say this. I remember Brian saying, the Jews brought the world the one God, or the knowledge of the one God. Now, their task will be to help humanity to manifest or use this knowledge. I don't remember the exact terms. And here is Dr. Eric once more, just like fulfilling the prophecy.
I don't
So
know.
Yeah.
I could listen, Miriam, this is what I can tell you. I could listen to your accent and talk for like hours and days. I don't care what you say. It's so beautiful.
Well,
thank you very much. So I just wanted to share this before we leave.
Thank
Beautiful.
you. We all come back from one, and we all return to one. So here we are.
And
Thank you for sharing.
thank you to both of you, Julian, and you and everybody and people who take part in this. It's beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I ask Ligia? Ligia, are you there? I'm just watching
From
her
Brazil,
face.
I think.
Ligia, is that how you say it?
Ligia, I'm not sure.
Ligia?
Where do you? There you are. I don't know.
She's
Garcia,
floated into
do you
being.
speak? I don't know whether.
Hi.
She's not seeing us right now.
Okay.
We're not saying her name clearly.
Ligia, we wonder if you'd like to unmute?
No, we just were saying hello.
Hello.
Welcome. Hello.
Hello, dear.
She's working on it. No?
She's going to chat.
Okay.
Perfect.
Here we go.
It's okay. Gorgeous. Okay. We're going to release everyone into the beauty that they are. Thank you again, Barbara and Harry and Lula. The shares from all the life leaders, again, I go to them often, and they are so, they are enriching in so much inquiry. I find just the willingness and the courage to just sort of explore, share, and all of their sharings to be very satisfying. And I do want to say I'm really quite grateful for all of it. So any of you that have any questions, please send them along to info at our Q&A on Tuesday. Again, this is kind of a big topic. We've covered so much in this one that we'll be sort of breaking it down. Oh,